You save for years, fight through bidding wars, and finally secure what feels like the perfect Texas home. You turn on the faucet to celebrate, and all you get is a weak trickle, maybe brown, maybe barely flowing, with a notice that your water rates are climbing again. That's when it hits you. Your home's foundation isn't just concrete. It's tied to a water supply that's disappearing, quietly taking your equity along with it. Texas is booming, and everyone talks about the growth, the jobs, the rising neighborhoods. But beneath the glossy brochures and manicured lawns lies a hidden crisis few dare to whisper about. Failing wells, shrinking reservoirs, and infrastructure on the brink. Some cities are trucking in water just to keep taps running while approving thousands of new homes. Others rely on aquifers under stress, lakes receding faster than rainfall can replace them, and federal regulations that can suddenly limit access to essential water. Stick with us as we take a road trip across Texas, uncovering the cities where your investment may evaporate faster than the water in your faucet, revealing a reality every homeowner should see before buying. Austin, the high-tech mirage. You arrive in Austin, a city pulsing with life. The skyline gleams with glass towers, music drifts from every corner, and food trucks tempt every appetite. It's a city of ambition, innovation, and boundless energy, a place where dreams feel tangible. But beneath the surface, there's a whisper you can't ignore. Austin isn't just booming, it's thirsty. The city relies heavily on Lake Travis, Lake Austin, and the Colorado River, each shrinking as population surges. Stage 2 water restrictions are common, and Stage 3 lurks like a ticking clock. Your $500,000 home, backyard oasis and all, is only as valuable as the water that reaches your faucet. The curious twist? The city is in a silent tug-of-war between developers, regulators, and nature. Landscaping rules tighten, reservoirs recede, and smart irrigation systems aren't enough to save green lawns or property values. The invisible cost of growth isn't on any listing. It's in every drop you use. And Austin is just the beginning. Number 29 on our road trip is a city where drought isn't a threat. It's a daily reality, and the consequences are far worse than your water bill. San Antonio, the underground gamble. San Antonio feels timeless. Cobblestone streets, historic missions, and the Riverwalk weaving like a ribbon of light make it easy to forget there's a ticking crisis underground. You wander through the charm, the scent of Tex-Mex in the air, and the laughter of tourists. But below your feet, the Edwards Aquifer hums with stress. Almost all of San Antonio's 1.4 million residents rely on this massive limestone sponge for water. It's not a lake you can see or a river you can touch. It's hidden, finite, and under constant strain from growth, agriculture, and industry. Stage 2 and Stage 3 drought restrictions dictate how much you can water your lawn, when, and how often. Your $310,000 home isn't just tied to the market, it's tied to a water source measured by inches. The real danger? Expansion continues unabated, drawing from a supply that won't last forever. And while you enjoy the city's charm today, the next stop on our road trip shows a city where water scarcity is reshaping not just neighborhoods, but entire lifestyles. Dallas, skyscrapers over a shrinking lifeline. The city hums like a live wire, energy crackling through streets lined with glass towers and luxury cars. From above, Dallas looks unstoppable. Endless development, bustling districts, and lawns that gleam under the Texas sun. But beneath the shine, there's a fragile rhythm no one advertises, water running thinner every year. Dallas relies on reservoirs and rivers to support millions, but booming population growth is quietly draining the lifelines. Lake Louisville, Lake Ray Hubbard, and the Trinity River are stressed to the brink. Stage 2 water restrictions ripple through neighborhoods, and every irrigation system, every splash in backyard pools accelerates the invisible countdown. A $450,000 home may seem solid, but its value is tied to a resource under pressure, and one heat wave could reveal the truth. And the real irony? The city that appears invincible above ground may face its most invisible threat in the years to come. Some neighborhoods might keep their manicured lawns, but others will pay the hidden price, a reminder that prosperity above doesn't guarantee security below. League City, coastal dreams, dry realities. Salt air drifts in from Galveston Bay as you roll into League City, where sailboats glimmer on the water and new homes rise along manicured streets. It feels like a coastal dream, close to Houston's energy, yet peaceful enough to feel like a retreat. But beneath that calm surface lies an uneasy truth. Water is becoming a growing concern. League City relies on surface water from the Gulf Coast Water Authority and nearby reservoirs. As the population swells and summers grow hotter, the demand rises faster than supply can keep up. Homes averaging $400,000 seem like solid coastal investments, but frequent drought warnings and infrastructure strain tell a quieter story. Saltwater intrusion and rising maintenance costs hint at challenges few new homeowners anticipate. The bay sparkles, the neighborhoods thrive, but the balance is fragile. And though our Texas journey ends here, the story doesn't stop. Across the state, one truth is becoming clear. In the years ahead, the greatest threat to home equity might not come from the market, but from the tap itself. Houston, the city that floats on risk. You step into Houston and immediately feel the contrast. Towering office buildings, sprawling suburbs, and highways that stretch farther than the eye can see. The air smells of opportunity and humidity, and for a moment, it feels like the city itself could drink forever. But look closer. Beneath the surface, Houston's water story is anything but endless. This city sits low, built on marshes and floodplains, relying on reservoirs, bayous, and an intricate network of canals to survive. Hurricane season is a permanent reminder that water can be friend or foe. One storm can knock out infrastructure, leaving homes without drinking water for days or weeks. A $400,000 house might look like a bargain until you factor in flood insurance that rivals the mortgage and the constant threat of overwhelmed drainage systems. And here's the twist few notice. Houston's growth is relentless, even as its water challenges intensify. Neighborhoods keep expanding, pumping more demand into a system already stretched thin. By the time residents realize the risk, the solution isn't turning on a faucet. It's navigating a city where the next storm could rewrite the rules entirely. Fort Worth, where the prairie meets the pipe. The horizon stretches wide, golden grasses waving under the relentless Texas sun. Fort Worth feels open, spacious, a city of cowboys and culture, museums, and modern neighborhoods. But amid the charm lies a quiet tension, hidden in pipes, reservoirs, and aquifers that struggle to keep pace with the city's appetite. Fort Worth draws much of its water from nearby lakes and the Trinity River, lifelines that appear abundant but hide an inconvenient truth. Population growth is siphoning them faster than rainfall can replenish. Subdivisions expand, golf courses bloom, and lawns stay green, but only at the expense of long-term sustainability. Your $375,000 home may seem like stability, yet every irrigation cycle, every municipal pump nudges the city closer to scarcity. The real catch? Fort Worth feels grounded, confident, and in control, but the reality below is precarious. One drought, one mismanaged reservoir, and the foundation of your investment could shift in ways no realtor's pitch ever mentions. As summer heat bears down, residents are learning that open skies don't guarantee open taps. El Paso, life on the edge of the desert. The mountains rise jagged against a sun that blazes without mercy. El Paso feels remote, strong, and self-reliant, a desert city that has learned to survive where others might wither. Streets hum with the rhythm of daily life, but underneath, water is a constant negotiation between nature, technology, and survival. El Paso depends on two critical sources, the Rio Grande and the Hueco Bolson aquifer, ancient underground reserves that took millennia to form. Both are under immense pressure from a growing population and the demands of modern industry. Stage 2 restrictions limit outdoor water use, while desalination and treatment plants quietly operate in the background, converting brackish water into something drinkable, but at a steep financial and ecological cost. Your $225,000 home may feel like a bargain, but it's entwined with a fragile lifeline. Every drop counts, and every summer heat wave threatens to test the limits of what the city can supply. In El Paso, prosperity exists in tandem with vigilance, and the desert reminds residents daily that survival is never guaranteed. Lubbock, the plains draining away. The flatlands stretch endlessly, cotton fields rippling under a vast open sky. Lubbock feels steady, grounded, a city built on agriculture and tradition. At first glance, everything seems resilient. But hidden below the surface, the lifeblood of this city is quietly vanishing. Nearly every drop of water comes from the Ogallala Aquifer, one of the largest underground reserves in the world. It took thousands of years to fill, and modern irrigation is emptying it far faster than nature can replenish. Homes, farms, and businesses all depend on this ancient source. A $300,000 property may look affordable today, but in a few decades, the very water that sustains it could be economically impossible to pump. The threat isn't immediate. It creeps in silently, invisible from street level. Cotton fields remain green, lawns stay alive, and life continues as if nothing is wrong. But beneath the placid surface, the city's foundation is slowly eroding. In Lubbock, the future of homeownership is a gamble against time itself, measured drop by drop. Corpus Christi, between bay and breakdown. The salty breeze hits first, seagulls wheel above the sparkling bay, fishing boats bob in the harbor, and it feels like a city built to breathe. Corpus Christi looks picturesque, a coastal dream, but the water you see isn't the water you get. The city relies on aging infrastructure to supply its residents. Pipes corrode, pumps fail, and the threat of contamination has turned boil water notices into an almost annual ritual. Homes with bay views, priced around $350,000, carry a hidden cost, the risk of unreliable drinking water and skyrocketing maintenance bills. And don't forget the desalination plant, a technological marvel that keeps faucets running but also inflates property taxes and water rates. Here, the coast is both a blessing and a curse. The water that frames the city's beauty can turn against it during storms or droughts, and each summer brings new uncertainty. In Corpus Christi, the allure of seaside living comes with a quiet reminder. Even paradise has limits, and luxury doesn't insulate you from the creeping strain of a city's most vital resource. Amarillo, the high plains gamble. The wind sweeps across the flat, endless plains, carrying dust and the faint smell of cattle feed. Amarillo feels remote yet stubbornly alive, a city built on resilience. But that same wind whispers a hidden danger. Water here is scarce, drawn from underground aquifers that have been depleted faster than nature can restore them. The city's $250,000 homes may seem like bargains amid wide streets and open skies, but every property depends on a finite and shrinking resource. Stage 2 drought restrictions govern lawn watering and outdoor use, and residents quietly adjust to a reality where every drop matters. The Ogallala Aquifer, lifeblood of the region, is under relentless strain from farming, industry, and municipal demand. Amarillo may feel steady and reliable, but the truth is subtle and slow-moving. What seems like permanence could vanish almost unnoticed. As locals adapt to stricter water limits, the open skies conceal a tension that could transform the way the city grows, lives, and thrives over the coming decades. Midland, bedding on black gold and dry wells. Dust swirls across the flat West Texas horizon, glinting under the relentless sun. Midland appears industrious, alive with oil rigs, trucks, and a skyline that hums with ambition. But beneath the surface, there's a tension no map shows, the battle between booming industry and dwindling water. Midland's water comes from the Ogallala and Edwards Trinity aquifers, ancient reserves being drained faster than rainfall can replenish. The very oil extraction that fuels the city's wealth consumes millions of gallons of water annually. A $450,000 home may feel like a stable investment, but it's tied to an invisible and shrinking lifeline. Growth, development, and fracking all draw from the same fragile supply, creating a high-stakes gamble that few see from street level. The irony? Midland thrives above ground while its foundation quietly diminishes below. Residents chase prosperity, schools expand, and neighborhoods grow, but each step presses harder against the limits of survival. In Midland, success comes with a hidden ledger, and the next drought could rewrite the city's fortunes in ways no one anticipates. Odessa, sun-baked streets, hidden strains. The sun beats down relentlessly, turning asphalt into waves of heat. Odessa feels alive, bustling with energy from oil, commerce, and sprawling neighborhoods. But the warmth hides a quiet, creeping tension. Water here is finite, and the city's growth is slowly testing its limits. Much like neighboring Midland, Odessa relies on the Ogallala and Edwards Trinity aquifers. These ancient underground reservoirs are being drained faster than nature can replenish, supplying homes, farms, and industry alike. A $400,000 property might look like stability, but it's connected to a resource under constant pressure. Every new subdivision, every thriving oil operation nudges the city closer to scarcity. The true challenge isn't always visible. Streets stay busy, lawns remain green, and life appears steady. But underground, the aquifers are shrinking. Odessa's residents live with a subtle awareness that prosperity above doesn't guarantee security below. And in a city where heat waves and droughts are inevitable, every investment, every decision is quietly tied to how long the taps will keep flowing. Waco, the river that holds the city. The Brazos River winds lazily through Waco, reflecting sunlight off historic bridges and college town streets. It's easy to imagine life here as calm and steady, But the river that defines the city is also a fragile thread, quietly shaping every home and neighborhood. Waco depends heavily on the Brazos and nearby lakes for its water supply. Growth has surged over recent years, with new subdivisions, schools, and businesses stretching the limits of the city's reservoirs. A $325,000 home may look like a solid investment, yet it sits on a system under pressure. Stage 2 water restrictions often creep in during hot summers, reminding residents that abundance is never guaranteed. The twist? Waco's river and reservoir system may seem timeless, but climate patterns and population growth are rewriting the rules. What looks like security from your front porch may not withstand the next dry spell. In Waco, peaceful river views mask a delicate balancing act between comfort and scarcity, where every faucet tells a story of survival. Plano, suburban shine, hidden strain. From above, Plano gleams like a suburban jewel. Wide streets, pristine lawns, and corporate campuses reflecting the Texas sun. On the surface, it feels perfect. Affluence, schools, and a lifestyle many dream of. But beneath the manicured exterior, a quieter story unfolds. Plano relies on a network of reservoirs and the North Texas Municipal Water District to supply its booming population. The lawns you admire, the golf courses, and even the fountains in corporate parks all pull from a finite system. A $650,000 home may seem like a safe investment, but it's tied to water that is stretched to the edge, especially during the relentless Texas summers. Stage 3 restrictions are no longer a rare warning. They're a recurring reality, subtly influencing everything from landscaping choices to municipal planning. The irony is sharp. A city built on the promise of modern suburban comfort is quietly negotiating with scarcity. Growth continues, amenities thrive, and appearances remain flawless. But Plano's prosperity comes with invisible strings, and each summer tests just how long the water can keep the dream alive. Arlington, between stadium lights and dry pipes. The roar of fans from AT&T Stadium and Globe Life Field fills the air, blending with the hum of highways and suburban streets. Arlington feels alive, energetic, and in constant motion. But amid the excitement, a subtle tension runs beneath the surface: water. Arlington relies heavily on man-made reservoirs and municipal water systems to support its residents and booming entertainment hubs. A $375,000 home may appear like a safe buy, but it depends on a network that is stretched thin. Hot summers and periods of drought often force Stage 2 or Stage 3 restrictions, quietly affecting lawns, pools, and day-to-day life. The more the city grows, the more each faucet, sprinkler, and municipal use pulls from limited supplies. The city thrives above ground, but below, the balance is delicate. Expansion continues, neighborhoods rise, and life seems uninterrupted, but every drop of water is part of a careful, ongoing calculation. In Arlington, entertainment dazzles, commerce prospers, yet the city's quiet dependency on water reminds residents that even the brightest lights can't mask scarcity. McAllen, where the Rio meets risk. The Rio Grande glimmers under the South Texas sun, marking the border and shaping life in McAllen. The city pulses with energy, markets, neighborhoods, and a growing economy, but the river that sustains it also hides a quiet tension. McAllen draws much of its water from the Rio Grande and underground aquifers. At first glance, homes priced around $300,000 look like a secure investment. Streets stay lively, lawns stay green, and the city feels vibrant. Yet population growth and agricultural demands stretch water supplies thin. Droughts and seasonal heat waves quietly test the city's infrastructure, forcing residents to adapt to restrictions they might not even notice at first. Life seems steady, but the question lingers: how long before scarcity starts shaping the city's future? And just a few hours north lies a city where water may already be running out faster than anyone imagined. Next, we'll see a place where the taps themselves might dictate the fate of every home on the block. Brownsville, sun, surf, and a silent strain. The Gulf of Mexico shimmers in the distance as you drive through Brownsville. Palm trees sway, streets hum with life, and it feels like a city built for endless summers. But beneath the tropical charm, a hidden stress quietly shapes every household: water. Brownsville relies on both groundwater and local reservoirs to keep the city running. A $275,000 home might seem like a steal in this vibrant border city, but each faucet, lawn, and public facility is tied to resources under mounting pressure. Population growth, agriculture, and heat waves steadily chip away at availability. Boil water advisories, once rare, have become a recurring whisper in the background of daily life. The city appears calm, yet the reality is far less predictable. Water may seem abundant now, but the strain is invisible until it suddenly isn't. And as you follow this Texas road trip northward, the next city presents an entirely different challenge. A place where scarcity isn't subtle and every drop could decide the value of your home before the mortgage is paid off. Beaumont, between bayous and risk. Moss-draped trees line the streets as the humid Gulf air greets you in Beaumont. At first glance, it's a city that invites you to linger. Charming neighborhoods, sprawling oaks, and a river that winds lazily through town. But the surface calm hides a hidden struggle with water that could shape the city's future. Beaumont's homes, often priced around $220,000, sit above an aging network of pipes and pumps. The region's proximity to the Gulf brings benefits and risks. Hurricanes and heavy rains can overwhelm infrastructure, while summer heat tests reservoirs and treatment systems. Even a minor failure can trigger boil water notices or temporary shortages. Residents live in a delicate balance, enjoying affordability and charm while the city quietly negotiates with nature and infrastructure. The paradox is striking. A city drenched in water yet constantly negotiating its supply. And as you keep traveling across Texas, the next stop is a city where water is both a blessing and a curse, and the struggle isn't against drought, but against the very flood that keeps threatening its streets. Killeen, military town, water tension. The hum of helicopters and the distant march of soldiers greet you as you enter Killeen, a city that feels defined by Fort Cavazo. At first glance, it's a steady, working-class hub with tidy lawns and affordable homes. But beneath the normalcy lies a subtle, ever-present risk: water scarcity. Killeen draws most of its supply from Belton Lake, a reservoir whose levels swing dramatically during droughts. A $300,000 home might feel like a smart investment, yet the city's reliance on a single water source creates hidden vulnerability. Stage 3 restrictions are no longer just a warning. They influence everyday life, from sprinklers to municipal planning. Couple that with the housing market's dependency on military assignments, and you get a unique double risk that few buyers anticipate. The streets may feel familiar and safe, but Killeen's stability is quietly measured in lake levels and troop deployments. And just a few hours' drive away, the next city you'll encounter shows a different kind of water gamble, one where flooding, not drought, tests every homeowner's patience and equity. Abilene, plain views, hidden pressure. Endless stretches of West Texas plains unfold as you approach Abilene, where cotton fields meet quiet suburban streets. At first glance, it seems stable and unassuming, a city built on modest homes and steady routines, but beneath the horizon lies a subtle strain: water. Abilene relies on a mix of groundwater and small reservoirs to supply its growing population. Homes averaging around $250,000 may appear like solid investments, but the local aquifers are finite and sensitive to prolonged heat and agricultural demand. Stage 2 and Stage 3 water restrictions are part of life, silently dictating lawn care, irrigation, and even construction planning. Residents may not notice the slow drain, but the numbers tell the story. Supply is under pressure and the balance is fragile. The city feels calm, yet every faucet whispers a quiet warning. And just beyond Abilene, the next stop on our Texas tour demonstrates a more dramatic scenario, a place where the clash between growth and water scarcity could decide whether new homes thrive or become stranded investments. Round Rock, tech hubs and thirsty streets. As you approach Round Rock, the skyline tells a story of growth. Tech campuses, bustling neighborhoods, and highways buzzing with commuters. On the surface, it's a symbol of success, a thriving suburb with highly rated schools and modern homes. But beneath the bustling streets, a quiet tension brews: water. Round Rock draws heavily from the nearby Lake Georgetown and regional aquifers. A $450,000 home may seem like a safe bet, yet the city's rapid expansion and suburban sprawl quietly stress the supply. Droughts are becoming less of a rarity and more of an expectation, forcing Stage 2 and Stage 3 water restrictions that shape daily life, from sprinklers to business operations. Growth continues, but every new subdivision, every tech facility adds invisible pressure to a system already at its limit. Life in Round Rock feels smooth, yet the real challenge is invisible until scarcity strikes. And just a short drive south, the next city on our journey presents an entirely different puzzle, where ancient aquifers and booming populations collide in a race against time, threatening every property on the map. Frisco, gleaming streets, hidden strain. From the moment you enter Frisco, you notice the shine. New developments, pristine streets, and sprawling master-planned communities. It's the embodiment of modern suburban ambition, where every home, school, and office reflects prosperity. But behind the polished exterior, there's a quiet pressure that could shape the city's future: water. Frisco relies on the North Texas Municipal Water District, pulling from a series of reservoirs that have been steadily shrinking during the hot Texas summers. A $700,000 home may feel like a solid investment, but maintaining those green lawns and decorative water features quietly strains a system already stretched to its limits. Stage 3 restrictions creep in, subtly dictating daily life while growth continues unabated. Everything gleams, yet the balance is delicate. In a city built on appearances, a water shortage could ripple through property values faster than anyone anticipates. And just down the road, the next city in our Texas tour hides a far more immediate threat, where the lake that defines its lifestyle is vanishing before your eyes, and every home faces a ticking clock. Tyler, roses, oaks, and an unseen strain. The scent of blooming roses greets you as you roll into Tyler, a city famous for its gardens and tree-lined streets. On first impression, it's idyllic, charming neighborhoods, local parks, and a pace of life that feels just right. But beneath the floral beauty lies a challenge quietly shaping every property: water. Tyler depends on reservoirs and local aquifers to meet the needs of its residents and the sprawling rose gardens that define its identity. A $350,000 home might seem like a safe investment, yet droughts and hot summers consistently strain the system. Stage 2 and Stage 3 water restrictions quietly affect lawns, pools, and public spaces, creating a subtle tension between lifestyle and resource availability. The city appears serene, yet every faucet and sprinkler quietly reminds residents that abundance isn't guaranteed. And as our Texas road trip continues, the next stop introduces a city where water scarcity isn't a background concern. It's an ever-present gamble that could redefine every home's value before your mortgage is even halfway paid. College Station, college town, quiet tension. The roar of Aggie football echoes through the streets as you arrive in College Station, a city alive with student energy, bustling cafes, and campus events. At first glance, it seems like a secure investment spot: lively culture, stable neighborhoods, and homes averaging around $320,000. But underneath the excitement lies a quieter, less visible concern: water. The city relies on aquifers and nearby reservoirs to support its population, and seasonal droughts constantly test the system. Stage 2 and Stage 3 restrictions have quietly shaped how residents manage lawns, pools, and everyday use. Rapid growth, fueled by university expansion and suburban development, stretches water supply thin, turning what feels like a thriving college town into a delicate balancing act between prosperity and sustainability. College Station may seem secure, yet the city's foundation quietly hinges on water levels. And just a few miles away, the next city along our Texas road trip presents an entirely different dilemma, where booming growth collides with ancient water sources, creating a countdown that could impact every homeowner's future. Denton, music, colleges, and hidden strain. The twang of guitars and the chatter of college students fill the air as you drive into Denton. At first glance, it's a lively mix of culture and academia. Historic downtown streets, bustling cafes, and neighborhoods that seem picture-perfect. But beneath the vibrant facade, a quiet challenge persists: water. Denton relies on reservoirs and aquifers that are increasingly strained by population growth and hot Texas summers. Homes priced near $400,000 may look like solid investments, yet the city's infrastructure quietly struggles to keep pace with demand. Stage 2 and Stage 3 water restrictions are part of life, influencing everything from lawns to public spaces. Residents may not notice the slow stress on supply, but every drop of water has a story of scarcity hidden within it. The city's charm is undeniable, yet behind every faucet lies an unseen tension. And just beyond Denton, the next stop on our Texas tour hides a more pressing puzzle: a city where water scarcity isn't just subtle, but a visible, looming threat that could reshape the value of every property in town. Wichita Falls, plains, wind, and water woes. The endless Texas plains stretch out as you approach Wichita Falls, with windmills turning lazily against the horizon. On first glance, it's a city of steady routines, wide streets, and affordable homes averaging around $220,000. Yet beneath this calm surface, a silent tension flows: water. Wichita Falls relies on reservoirs and local aquifers to sustain its residents and surrounding farmland. Hot summers and recurring droughts strain the system, making Stage 2 and Stage 3 water restrictions a quiet part of daily life. While the city appears resilient, rapid suburban growth and agricultural demands quietly pull at the limits of what the water supply can support. Even modest homes face hidden risks tied to these finite resources. The city may seem stable, yet each faucet hints at uncertainty. And as our Texas road trip continues, the next stop unveils a different type of water gamble. A city where booming neighborhoods and vanishing aquifers create a high-stakes game for every homeowner. Louisville. Lakeside living hidden pressure. The glint of sunlight on Louisville Lake draws you in as you enter the city, promising scenic views, waterside parks, and suburban charm. At first glance, it's the ideal spot for families, quiet streets, modern homes, and a community that seems built to last. But beneath the surface, a subtle tension lurks: water. Louisville relies heavily on the lake and surrounding reservoirs to supply homes, lawns, and local businesses. Homes averaging around $450,000 may appear like safe investments, but seasonal droughts and population growth quietly strain the system. Stage 2 and Stage 3 water restrictions dictate more than just sprinklers. They influence property maintenance, community planning, and even real estate trends. The city's water story is a balancing act that few newcomers fully realize until scarcity begins to bite. Everything seems serene, yet the underlying risk is always present. And just a short drive away, the next city on our Texas tour presents a different kind of puzzle, where ancient aquifers, rapid expansion, and rising demand converge in a high-stakes test for every homeowner's equity. San Angelo. Rivers, ranches, and quiet risk. The Concho River winds lazily through San Angelo, reflecting the wide Texas skies and the mix of ranches and city life that define this West Texas gem. At first glance, it's a place of stability. Affordable homes, tight-knit communities, and scenic surroundings that promise a balanced lifestyle. But beneath the calm, water quietly dictates the city's future. San Angelo depends on a combination of reservoirs and groundwater to sustain both its residents and agricultural operations. Homes priced around $250,000 may look attractive, yet the city's growth and recurring droughts quietly push the water supply to its limits. Stage 2 and Stage 3 restrictions are more than guidelines. They shape lawns, pools, and municipal planning. Every faucet is a subtle reminder that even a steady city faces invisible pressures. The charm of riverside life masks a delicate balance, and those who settle here might not realize how quickly conditions can shift. Up next, our journey takes us to a city where the tension between booming development and shrinking water resources is so acute, it could redefine property values almost overnight. Mesquite, suburban calm, hidden thirst. Drive east from Dallas, and Mesquite greets you with wide streets, family homes, and the comforting rhythm of suburban life. It's a city that feels grounded, affordable neighborhoods, strong schools, and the hum of weekend barbecues. But underneath this familiar calm, there's a growing concern that could quietly reshape its future: water. Mesquite draws its supply from the North Texas Municipal Water District, which relies on a chain of reservoirs that struggle to keep pace with rising demand. Homes averaging around $320,000 may appear like smart buys, but droughts and population growth are tightening the system year after year. Stage 2 and Stage 3 restrictions are no longer distant warnings. They're part of everyday living, subtly changing how residents maintain their homes and yards. For now, the lawns are green and the faucets flow. But how long can the balance last? And just beyond Mesquite, our journey leads to a city where the illusion of plenty fades faster than expected, where water, not wealth, may soon decide the fate of entire neighborhoods. Longview, green hills, growing worries. Rolling pine forests surround Longview, painting a picture of small city charm and East Texas serenity. The air feels fresh, the pace slower, and life seems steady. But beneath that calm exterior lies a quiet tension that homeowners are beginning to feel with each passing summer: water. Longview relies on lakes and reservoirs like Cherokee and the Pines. Yet prolonged droughts and population growth have begun testing those resources. Homes priced near $275,000 might seem like dependable investments, but as water levels dip, irrigation limits and usage restrictions quietly shape daily life. Even local industries and schools feel the strain when dry spells linger. It's a city caught between greenery and growing scarcity, a balance that feels natural until the taps start running slower. For now, Longview remains lush and livable, but the question lingers in the Texas heat: how long can a city built on abundance survive when the rain starts to forget its name? And that's the journey through the top 30 cities where water scarcity is quietly reshaping the future of homeownership. From sprawling deserts to historic urban centers, we've seen how even the most promising neighborhoods can hide invisible risks beneath the surface. Every faucet, every lawn, every reservoir plays a part in the value of your home. And when that supply falters, so does your investment. This isn't just about statistics or headlines. It's about the real, tangible impact on families, communities, and anyone hoping to build a future in these cities. The lesson is clear. Water is more than a utility. It's the foundation beneath your home's worth. If you've learned something new today, don't let it stop here. Hit like if you want more eye-opening insights, subscribe so you never get caught off guard by hidden risks, and turn on notifications to join us on the next road trip through America's most surprising financial and environmental challenges. Stay informed, stay ahead, and keep your equity safe.